Hello, everyone. I think I'm live. Okay, I'm just going to open up my notes here. How are you feeling with the solar eclipse right around the corner? Okay. I need to bring myself down a few notches. I've already had a couple meltdowns between yesterday and today. Um, Feeling very, very squeezed energetically. So I'm curious to know how everyone is feeling out there. So with this, I'm going to mostly focus on Libra season and Equinox. Maybe some of you have already heard about what's happening with this eclipse squaring Saturn and the pressure that we might feel right now. And so, just also, if you are experiencing the pressure and shifts and difficulties at this time, because I think a lot of people are going through a lot of change. This solar eclipse in Virgo is especially the aspect of squaring Saturn. I'm sure you've heard of it. If you haven't, that's fine. But I just actually recently caught it myself, where it's almost like these two aspects are really, hi Carrie. Yeah, these two aspects are really squeezing us out of where we've been. And when we think of, if this is resonating with you and you feel like you're going through this, when you can feel of what you're being squeezed out of, you can even reflect what that is. If it's an old pattern, an old cycle, an old way of being, old friendship circles, which is definitely going to be a theme going into Libra season, which I'll address as well. Even being squeezed out of um, just different way of being altogether. I mean, I've been going through all of it. So, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but it's been very, very much a bit of a pressure cooker in all honesty. This month has been a pretty intense month. At the beginning of the month it was quite slow. I think I slept for 2 weeks and then it just all of a sudden went from 0 to 100 where for myself, I've been just letting everything do what it needs to do. But then all of a sudden it went to 100 where I'm super stressed out and tense and angry and upset and mad and going through the full motion, the full range of it, which kicked in yesterday actually. So I have a bit of a headache right now and I'm trying to just keep it mellow right now at this time doing this live. So don't mind me. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Just winging it for now. But like I said, yeah, going into the eclipse and this the squaring Saturn is going to have a very strong theme of squeezing out of where we was the last, like kind of this last ditch effort I've said before, right? Of what do we need to truly let go of? What can we surrender through? What can we also change with Virgo being still in Virgo season? We're slowly moving into Libra, which I'll talk about the transition also because these two archetypes, this is my actual favorite time of the year for the archetypal shifts that we go through and the inner shifts, of course. I mean, it's all connected and that's part of the work. But I was thinking back even when I started doing these videos, and I think I've had this channel for 3 years. Even before that, I had another channel, which a few of you have been part of. There are a few original members from way long ago. And ever since I've been going through each year with all of these archetypes, and that's also why, oh, okay. My look, my connection doesn't look very stable. Did my screen freeze or am I still here? Are we good? Okay, I don't know if this is recording. If anybody can still hear, okay, good. Okay. Hi, Bonnie. Hi, Wendy's Wild Forest. Okay, let me know, because last time it cut out and I didn't even know, and I was still going and going and going, and then I had to reboot altogether. So just in the off chance, if it starts to act up, let me know. And then I don't know, I might have to redo it most times the internet's pretty good, but today it doesn't seem very stable. And I am moving, so I'll be in a different location in 2 to 3 weeks, and everything is going to improve in this way. So just bear with me. But, right, so yeah, I was thinking about this last night, thinking back of when I first started covering the archetypes and going into more of the more of the dynamics of self and the archetypes, and relaying them to ourselves so that we can gain some information through these changes, rather than just bumping around and moving from season to season. The more I started working with the archetypes and going deeper into these astrological aspects, and I'm not an astrologer, but I tend to look at the archetypes, of course, the seasons that we're in, because it gives us a bit of a roadmap of the cycles that we're in and how to navigate them, and even how to understand more of ourselves, right? And that's really the premise of my work. So when I was thinking back, I think it's been 3 years that I've had this channel, and how much it's developed over the years, my work, or even just understanding the archetypes in a deeper way so that I can understand myself more, and I can understand life and these cycles that we're in, and make sense of what's happening not only within ourselves, but in the context of maybe the world or the collective or just human nature in general. And through the years, it's definitely changed. I mean, even if I would probably look back 3 years at the work, excuse me, that I had been doing, it definitely has gotten a lot deeper, and it's definitely got a lot richer because of this. So that's why I tend to focus on the archetypes and do this type of work rather than strictly astrology, so we can get a little bit more information from it, and so we can understand ourselves through the process. And it allows us to grow with it, again, like I said, rather than sort of being left in the dark, or being left without a roadmap, or left without direction for ourselves. And the reason why I like this trio, the Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, is my favorite time of the year, not just because I'm, born in October, but because it's like the tipping point, not tipping point, it's the scales, it's the balance, but us moving into a greater stage of evolution. And of course, well, after Libra, you have Scorpio, which we need to descend first before we ascend, Sagittarius. And then after Sagittarius, we move into the greater evolution of, if you want to call it awakenings, or our soul's development, or our personal development. So being in Libra season, or approaching Libra season from Virgo, tilts us or moves us into the season where we can assess, where we can make real discernment, discerned actions, choices, and have clarity within ourselves. And this solar eclipse moving us into Libra season is going to offer a lot of clarity. And Virgo and Libra have threads, same as Libra to Scorpio, right? And the threads from Virgo to Libra are actually very important. So Virgo, remember, refines and assesses, is very analytical, very logical, and so is Libra. And Libra is, of course, an air sign, and we are moving into cardinal season right after this eclipse. It's going to be almost a domino effect of change that's going to happen. And in this 9-month, we're still in this pressure cooker energy of endings, and endings are really uncomfortable. Endings can squeeze us, and that's why I also feel I had kind of a meltdown yesterday, in all honesty, between yesterday and today, because I'm about to step into something new. And I know it's coming, but there are my old conditionings that are up against me. They want the familiar. They want to look at the negative. They want to look at the bad. They want to look at what hasn't been working. And so I found myself in this really strong almost like polarized nature within myself, of part of myself seeing where I'm going and understanding the change that I'm going through and where it's taking me and the change that's coming up. But then a part of me that's like really rejecting it, and all of a sudden showing me the old stories that I still have within myself, right? So, I mean, I'm also a life path 9, and the 9 energy affects me a lot. So whenever I'm in a 9-month, 9-year, just it's almost like a triple whammy for me. It's a lot to take. So if you're feeling this, and if it's something you're experiencing, that could be the cause of it. And again, the solar eclipse, the lunar eclipse was very heavy and very transformative. Moving into the solar with the squaring Saturn is really the finalization in some way. I don't want to say the complete end, as we know there are no endings and beginnings. It's always cycling and always changing. But this is going to be a very, very pivotal month for a lot of people, where you're going to notice the old and the new. It's going to be very apparent. The transition, I think we're still in that transitionary period, but you're probably going to really start to have a lot of clarity at the end of this month moving into October, which will give you decisive action or discernment for what you want to do next, moving into cardinal season and with Libra. And Libra's very straight shooting, very clear, very precise. So we take that precision from Virgo into Libra, which is also a very analytical archetype, very precise, very detail oriented, very particular. So it almost has a little bit of the perfectionistic traits of Virgo brought through. So Virgo refines, Virgo changes things up, looks at areas for improvement, for again, cycling out the old, cleaning out the clutter. And then Libra puts it into some kind of action, takes it into, or puts it into, brings it into balance and equilibrium in a way, in order for change to happen, in order for some kind of change to evolve. And generally, if we talk about the trio of Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Libra creates the change to allow us to go into the underworld, to understand our depths within ourselves and what needs to be transmuted on a deeper level for that change to really occur. So it's sort of this tipping point that we're in within the zodiac calendar, that halfway mark, where we've gone through the early developmental phases, right into the Vikram, right into now the stage of evolution. Right? So the first portion of the zodiac calendar is development, and then now we're moving into evolution. And in order for us to really evolve, we have to go deep. We have to be prepared to face the depths of ourselves. We have to be prepared to get real with ourselves and true. And Libra is that segue into it, right? So Libra sort of assesses everything, weighs out the odds, becomes very clear and very discerning, and tries to create truth within situations, truth within ourselves, so that we can have that clarity within for our next phase or for the choices that we make. So there's going to be a lot of changes showing up, and we're also moving into October as a universal month number 1 in a month 10, right? So we're going to have it's going to be 2 10s, I think, right? Is that how it works? But it equals 1 in the essence. So you have a 10 and a 1. So naturally in October, there will be a fresher energy coming in. You might feel compelled to start a new project, to take the lead, to be daring, to take a risk, to take a chance. And that is part of Libra's archetype. And it's a very precise archetype to be in for creating change and for action. It's like laser focused energy coming through. So another aspect, I'm just going to go into Libra, the archetype of Libra, not in too much detail because we have the new moon later portion of the month in October. I think we'll have the full moon in Aries, early portion of October to start off with. But going into cardinal season will give us an opportunity to make changes happen. And we may even feel more empowered to do so. You might feel more empowered, you might feel stronger, you might feel clear, especially after eclipse season. And some of you are going to be affected differently than others, obviously, especially if you're Virgo, Pisces. Those 2 signs were the highlight of the month. But a lot of us too can definitely feel that spark of insight and that clarity and the discernment. And because of this eclipse squaring Saturn, this at the end portion of the month of September is really clearing out the clutter, like clearing out the garbage, clearing out relationships that no longer fit or are no longer harmonized or are no longer bringing in balance into your life. This could be also part of it. And we also had the North Node in Libra last year, a year ago. And depending on what you experienced, you could have had a very significant change in relationships around that time last year or moving into this year. And now you're starting to see the change happen. So I had an interesting conversation with someone not too long ago about where we're going with all of this change and how we're basically rewriting the script of relationships, community, the world, really, but that's kind of a big order. But in many ways, there are a lot of shifts within interpersonal dynamics, and this is going to be a theme for Libra season, is basically around the construct of relationships and community, relationship dynamics, bringing in equilibrium and harmony. And there are a few people out online in the social sphere talking about this new world that we're moving into and how we can all come together and be part of it. But I also feel in order for it to really evolve and take shape in a form that's sustainable will require us to be really clear about ourselves and where the disharmony resides within ourselves so that we can create more harmonious, balanced relationships. Now, there's a shadow aspect to this, and that is the people pleaser. I'm sure a lot of you know that also is the avenging angel, where we feel that there are so many injustices in the world and we get very angry and we want the truth and we want people to not lie and not do things that are unjust or malicious, etc. But when we tilt our scales in the direction of this avenging angel, we're actually feeding into and perpetuating that collective shadow of this avenging angel archetype. So just be aware of, and I've been through it myself as well. I see it in a lot of people. You can look in, even online, you can see it in the world of this avenging angel archetype that comes up wanting the truth to be said, wanting matters to be set straight and set right, calling people out for lying, calling people out for misinformation, and it just goes and goes and goes without any letting up in sight. So in order for us to harmonize the balance within the world and within relationships, we have to harmonize the relationship within ourselves. That's how it works. And this archetype allows us to understand the mirroring of relationships so that we can create the harmony within ourselves first. And relationships, I think I'm going to record a separate video on this in all honesty, but relationships are always showing us something about ourselves. But it requires a lot of deep work to truly understand this. So I feel that we're far way away, but we're on course for creating greater communities and greater relationships because of this work and because of the transformation that we're embarking on. But because of the shadow aspect of this archetype as well, being the people pleaser, we can tend to put ourselves in situations that don't feel 100% right. And that's where we dismiss our intuition, our body's responses, and how we feel. Because we feel that we need to be a good person. We feel that we need to create a better environment. We need to be a good friend. We need to be a good lover, a good family member, whatever. And in that process, when we feel that we have to be good and we have to show up and we have to help and we have to fit in and we have to be part of this, we're forcing something to happen against what feels right for us. So in order for us to feel right about what we're doing, we have to almost reverse and go back to square one in a way to get real about how we really feel, how we want to feel in relationships and what feels right for us. And that sometimes takes the process or requires a process of going back in time to start over again. And that's where I feel like we are for some of us, for myself, definitely right now, because I also had the South Node in Libra, which had a very strong theme of relationships. So it's taken a while. I've had to go through the tumultuous um, massive shifts with relationships to take a pause with myself and reassess what I want in my life and what kind of relationships do I want that will match how I feel about myself. And so I had to go back and reverse everything to connect with me and what I value and what's important for me and who I am and how I want to experience life and experience relationships rather than simply fitting into relationships to maybe fill a void or to be nice or to create peace and balance and harmony with other people, not looking at myself. And so that's the people pleaser shadow aspect, which we can all relate to in some way because we have this archetype within ourselves somewhere, some more than others. But if we're people pleasing, if we're falling into that pattern, we're dismissing what feels right for us. And it can be very subtle. It can be all of a sudden we just feel kind of off, or there's friction between ourselves and another person. And those friction points are perfect. Doesn't mean that we have to shut someone out. It means that we can look more at ourselves as to what that friction really is. And then after a certain point, maybe we do have to reassess some of these relationship dynamics as far as, does it really work with who I am and where I want to be in my life or where I want to go? And it does take some time. It takes some time. It takes some hard lessons. It takes trial and error to constantly go through this. I mean, romantic relationships are, of course, part of the Libra archetype. And those are our greatest teachers, romantic relationships and family members. And they teach us always something about ourselves. And so if we're in perpetual patterns with relationships where we're filling a void, where we feel like we need to be with someone just for the sake of being with someone, or if we're holding on to a relationship from the past of something that didn't work, which is going to drive us into Scorpio's archetype. But there are some threads between Libra and Virgo, Libra and Scorpio. And you'll see them, especially in the context of relationships. And also, well, the mirroring effect and the choices that we make. So the choices that we make, the discernment or lack of, come from somewhere, a belief within ourselves. So if we are more confident with ourselves, and if we are more self-assured, and if we're balanced within ourselves, then we're going to have greater discernment of the path we take and the people we are connected with. But if there are imbalances with interpersonal relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, family members, it's going to require us to look at the imbalance within ourselves so that we can either create balance in those relationships or work towards different relationships that are more harmonious and more in sync with our true self. So it's quite a process. It's quite a process of unraveling, and relationships are the most powerful exercise to do so. I remember watching, what was it? It was a video on, it was a Buddhist, I think it was a documentary on a Buddhist culture or a Buddhist community. And what they said in this one part, which caught my attention, I'll never forget, was as soon as someone reaches this certain Buddhist level, maybe certain enlightenment, or they've been in a certain temple or community for a long time, and they've reached a level of comfort with their practice within themselves, they're actually invited to go and get into life, go have a family, go get married, go meet someone, go be with your family and see how it goes, which is perfect. Because I always wondered this with monks and with those who are, and which is a beautiful practice, but we can only get so far by spending time by ourselves. And we can only understand so much within ourselves by ourselves. As soon as we step out into the world, as soon as we step out into relationships, as soon as we fall in love, as soon as we're around our family, I know we all can relate to this, something becomes exposed, something that we couldn't see otherwise, something that lives within our unconscious, within our deeper self, and that allows us to work through it so that we can return more, see more of ourselves, and see more of ourselves through the relationships that are around us. Now, because of our traumas and because of some of our unacknowledged difficulties that we have within ourselves, we can easily shut people out, which is also a shadow aspect of Libra. Because it is an air sign, all air signs can be very emotionally detached. And this is a very quick moving archetype. And as cardinal, and cardinal is all about action. This, I'd say probably arguably Aries and Libra could be the quickest. Cancer, though, emotionally also can be very fast moving. Capricorn, not as fast moving, but strong. So Libra is very fast and quick to decide, right? And those quick decisions can also come from clarity, but also can come from wounds. And that's where we need to discern where we're making decisions from, and maybe take a pause and slow down before we decide, because we're also going to put something in motion when we make a decision. But it's not about analysis paralysis either, where we're getting in our way and sabotaging decisions. We need to take risk. And this is a time moving into October to take some risk and to create action. Some of the fixed signs out there might not exactly love that so much. Hi, Marilyn. So the law of cause and effect is part of this archetype, right? So you might be familiar with the Justice card in the tarot, and the Kabbalion. If you've read the Kabbalion, the law of cause and effect, I think it's the sixth law in the Kabbalion. Every decision we take, every choice we make, every word we speak, every thought we send out has some kind of repercussion. It does something. Now, where I was in my life many years ago, for most of my life, I was at effect. So meaning I was at effect of other people's choices. I was very disempowered. I relied on everyone else. I was desperate. I was clinging on to whatever, something that would like make my life better. I also felt like a victim for a long time. And because of that, I was at effect. So I wasn't empowering myself to be at cause, being the cause of my reality, being the cause of what I was creating, being the cause of my choices. And you can get really granular with that. You can get right into the cause of what I'm saying now has some kind of ripple effect. It's going to reach people in some kind of way. It might resonate with some, it might not resonate with others, whatever. But the way I say it, how I say it, my intention behind it has some kind of effect. I'm at the cause. The choices that I make with my career, with people in my life, with my diet, my health and wellness, etc., it puts me in the role of being at the cause of my reality. And this is where you turn into a creator of your reality, being at the cause. So would you rather be at the cause or at the effect? And when we're at the effect, it means that we're disempowering ourselves. We're allowing for our patterns to overtake us. We're allowing for people to make choices for us. We become very disempowered, right? And so there's a very powerful role with this as well that's coming in, where we can make decisions and take action based on our truth and what feels right for us and the discernment within. But also it does take a little bit of time to understand our own inner truth. But this gives us an opportunity to do so. And then, like I said, afterwards we move into Scorpio season, where we get to address some of these patterns and some of these wounds and some of these deeper sides, and also the depths of relationships. So relationships, again, are our greatest teachers because it allows us to sink deeper into ourselves. And Scorpio will deepen those relationships very much. I think I covered everything. I don't want to go too far into the Libra archetype, because we're going to have the new moon. I think it's right before the end of Libra season, which is sort of funny, and why I wanted to address this now. But I want to talk about it more on the new moon. So I don't want to go too far into Libra season. But yeah, the themes here are mostly ushering in change, quick, sharp, laser focus accuracy. So really good with timing and knowing. There's going to be an opportunity here to cut through the noise. So don't be afraid to be discerning during this time. And even during the new moon, the solar eclipse that's coming in, I almost want to say start to be really clear with what you want. Start to be clear with relationships. Start to be clear with, being honest with yourself maybe about certain things. Whatever it is, this is going to be a very important moon for clearing out the clutter, especially now moving into Libra season, the theme of relationships. Also restoring balance within yourself and equilibrium within yourself that is in greater alignment with your truth and what feels right for you and what harmony means for you. What does it mean to be in harmonious relationships? What does it mean to be in harmonious balance with your work, within yourself? You're going to be the key to it all. But even putting it a little bit ahead, the thought ahead or the intention ahead of what kind of relationships do I want and how do I want to feel in those relationships, that's going to create the change within yourself to align you with those types of relationships. And don't be afraid to clear out the clutter with relationships, with anything, even if it means for some people being single for a long time, which I've had to do. Complete overhaul in every area of my life so that I can harmonize within myself and have those types of relationships in my life, which is happening, right? So don't be afraid to take a step back or be alone. And if there's a fear of being alone, lean into that, which it'll be perfect for growth. It'll be perfect for returning to your truth and returning to your inner strength to create the relationships as the result of how you feel within yourself, right? So yeah, don't be afraid to take step backs. Don't be afraid to clear things out. Don't be afraid to create change. It's all going to be reflective of yourself, right? Of the change that you're going to be making in your external environment. There's also really nice, going into Libra season, a nice opportunity for looking at different situations, and even if you're dealing with conflicts or certain relationship dynamics that are difficult, it's a nice time to also look at different perspectives of where people are coming from, rather than being quick to judge. The archetype of Libra can be quick to judge, but if we take a little bit of a pause and gain an understanding of where someone is coming from, maybe the challenges they are going through, maybe some of the pains they are feeling, it will allow for greater compassion, of course. It will allow for greater discernment, rather than, of course, you don't have to put yourself out because someone is in pain or someone is suffering. It's not about that. It's about the compassion, but also being compassionate for yourself. So the little bit of exercise with that will help with fairness and equality and understanding. So this archetype does bring in a lot of balance regarding these various dynamics that we have in our lives. There's also nice grace and elegance to this archetype as it is ruled by Venus. I actually found something really interesting the other day where Venus rules both Taurus and Libra. Although Taurus relates to Venus very differently because Taurus is a fixed sign of Earth, Taurus can relate to the luxuries of embodying luxury and value, right? And Libra has a very different approach to the relationship with Venus, where it's a bit more detached, which, again, air signs can tend to be a bit more detached, especially, unfortunately, cardinal energy can become very quick moving, quick to detach, quick to attach as well. So it can make very quick decisions under this one. But in regard to Venus, it can also fall into a relationship of superficiality with luxury, material possessions, these sort of things. It has a little bit of a more detached relationship to the luxuries of life, although it definitely loves to explore different avenues for this. It can also be a little bit more detached or quick moving, or again, fall into a little bit of a superficial relationship with that, the relationship with Venus. If it is with relationships, if it is with material gain, luxuries again, status, wealth, so on. I think that pretty much sums it up. Avenging angel definitely is a shadow aspect of this archetype. So when an individual feels that there are many injustices in the world and they become very involved with those injustices, they carry on the anger, they carry the pain, they carry the suffering. that is the avenging angel. And it's like a little bit of, yeah, it kind of perpetuates the collective shadow of the wrong made society, looking at the faults, looking at what's wrong, and trying to make things right. So between Virgo and Libra, they have a very strong relationship. Then Libra tilts that into Scorpio, the underworld, that can go into the shadow aspect of revenge, deceit, any kind of darker effects of that particular archetype. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for Virgo season. How is everyone feeling? Did I say Virgo season? I think I meant Libra. I may have said Virgo. Well, I hope you're all feeling all right and okay during the eclipse in September. It's been a big month. But even collectively, I feel there's going to be still a big shift. Oh, and we also have Mars going into Scorpio on the 22nd. That was another aspect I wanted to address. And Mars was Scorpio's previous ruling planet. Physically exhausted, yeah. Well, I slept for 2 weeks as well, right after the full moon. So, yeah, it's coming. Yeah, listen to your body. And if you feel tired, if you feel emotional, listen to it and honor it, rather than pushing through and trying to stay on track with the old schedules. And I know it's hard for people in, certain job forces. I know, Crystal, you're in one as well. But do get some rest as much as possible and honor your body, listen to it, and try not to push through or create resistance. And this is one big learning lesson I've had to work on myself, is not to fall into my old patterns of pushing through and toughing it out, because it grinds our system down even more so, and it just puts us in the opposite, brings us back into greater struggle, right? Greater difficulties. Going through some hard stuff. Oh, I'm sorry. The long relationship, friendship. Yeah, boundaries, very important. It'll iron out. I'm sure you see the value that it's giving you in some way. And even if it is to be stronger with your boundaries, that's really good. It's very important. It does take a lot of refinement to figure this out, but it all pays off. It all leads somewhere really, really good, actually, after a bit. Okay. I think that was it. That was it. That was all. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. If you're finding difficulty during the solar eclipse, rest. Try to find some time where you can connect and ground if you're feeling a bit energetically, hi Louise, a little bit energetically unbalanced. Ground, put your feet on the earth, or simply just feel connected. Just connect with your body, most importantly. Find a place to relax. And I feel, like, I know new moons, solar eclipses rather, are a little bit chaotic, but I still feel if you want to set intentions or even become clear of where you want to go through this or how you want to feel on the other side, stick with those intentions and stick with those feelings and stick with that inner knowing as much as you can. And that helps you get through these little difficult moments that we can find ourselves in when we're going through change. And we're changing, we're adjusting. It's sometimes hard to see where we're going with it. So just stay almost focused with an intention of what you would like moving through this, or what you would like moving into October, what you want to work on, what you want to start, what you want to experience, what you want to change, or what you're welcoming in, being open to receive as well, right? So it's not about us always, grinding it out and doing the work. It's also being open. So opening our channels to receive, opening our channels to trust, is a big one too. All right, Wendy. Wendy's Wild. You're very welcome. Okay. So enjoy the eclipse ahead. As we move into Libra season. I will be coming back, I think every Friday I'll do a live and do a check-in and see how you're all doing. But it'll be a nice eclipse ahead. And as I mentioned, we do have, yes, Mars and Scorpio, which is very, very, very strong. And collectively, I think a lot of astrologers have been talking about this particular transit creating a lot of turmoil and heated unconscious actions that can happen in the world, right? So we're kind of at that point in many areas where things are getting very intense, and this could push things over that line, maybe, potentially. But just watch yourself, watch yourself how you're reacting to certain situations and bring it back. And it's not so awful to let our energy out, but just as long as we're working with it consciously, right? So, don't harbor it in or push it down if it needs to find its way out, anger or a reaction, but just do it consciously. Just be aware of the movement of energy and the movement of emotions, because this transit can be very, very strong. Mars was Scorpio's former ruling planet and Aries ruling planet. So it's very heated. It will be very intense for this next little while. Okay, with that, I'm wishing you a beautiful weekend. Thank you for being here. It was lovely to see you all. Sending my love your way. Enjoy the solar eclipse, and I will see you soon. Take care.